My colleague Gaurav Sawant is joining us on the story with more details. Gaurav, India Today has accessed this video of Umar Nabi that we're showing our viewers, in which he can be heard speaking on suicide bombing, and he's saying that suicide bombing has no place in a democratic society, which is in contrast to his eventual actions in the national capital.
This just shows Muhammad Umar's twisted, sick mindset. Highly educated, a medical doctor, speaks English so fluently, and yet that sick, twisted mind does not think twice before killing innocent people and plotting it so meticulously. So this chap says it's a very misunderstood concept, the concept of what is suicide bombing or martyrdom. And it's known that it is wrong. There are multiple contradictions. There are multiple arguments that have been brought against this so-called martyrdom. But when a person presumes he's going to a particular place, it becomes a very dangerous situation. So it just goes on to indicate, what in his own twisted mind, what he was thinking just hours and days before he carried out the attack. And what is even more sinister is the wider plot. If you also recall, the lawyer who came on record yesterday for the second bombing aide who was taken into custody by NIA and produced in court, the lawyer said that there was absolutely no regret in the minds of these elements. So there was no regret for plotting the terror attack. There was no regret for scouting places where they wanted to carry out an attack. And this just shows what India is up against. These radical Islamist terrorists who are highly educated, devious, with a very twisted mindset.
Absolutely. Gaurav, what do you think could have been the whole idea behind making this video just days before the Delhi bomb blast?
So, in radical Islamist terror that these people represent, if you recall, even in the past, the Pulwama bomber, for example, or bombers in the past, they record their last video. Their aim is to inspire the next generation of suicide bombers or carry their message forward why they carried out this terror attack. So, this is also a perfect response to those who had so far claimed that these are innocent people who are being taken into custody, or people of a particular religion are being targeted and are being arrested. This is as clear as day who these elements are, of course, subject to legal scrutiny and judicial process. It just indicates that the NIA has been able to gather some information, as have police agencies, whether it's Jammu Kashmir Police, Haryana Police or Delhi Police. They've been able to gather a lot more information through forensic examination of their mobile handsets, of some of the devices that they were using, some of the other hard disks that have been taken into custody from their possession or from their rooms. This was a much wider devious plot, the D6 or the Delta 6 plot, to target multiple cities and multiple locations on the 6th of December. This was, that twisted mindset. It becomes especially devious because these are doctors. These are people you and I would trust when we go to them to heal us, but internally they're actually plotting to kill us. That is how devious their plan was.
Absolutely, Gaurav. In fact, as you mentioned that he was a doctor, another important point to note in this video is that how he speaks English so well. He seems to be really educated, but such an educated person speaking on a topic like suicide bombing,
which is all the more worrisome. With that Pakistani terrorist Ajmal Amir Kassab, he was an illiterate person who was very poor, who had no money, who was drawn into the madrasa by the likes of Hafiz Muhammad Saeed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and he was indoctrinated there. However, these are Indian doctors. These are Indian Muslim doctors, highly educated. They've had the best of the Indian society. They've studied in very prestigious medical institutions like the GMC in Srinagar, worked in places like GMC in Anantnag, worked then in Al-Falah University in Delhi, in and around. And this is where this terror module formed and plotted these attacks. Who indoctrinated them? Where were they indoctrinated? Who was pulling the strings? Now, these are issues that need to be dealt with. And, from what my conversations with both intelligence agencies and police investigators so far has been, their effort is to find that wider terror-enabling ecosystem? Was it just that Maulvi Irfan of the Naugam Masjid who was indoctrinating them? Who was behind Maulvi Irfan of the Naugam Masjid? Who are others in Kashmir? Who are others in other parts of the country? And how many elements of this terror module are there in different parts of the country? One doctor taken into custody from Pathankot, another doctor taken into custody, two doctors from Uttar Pradesh, some from Haryana, New Mewat. So how widespread are the tentacles of this terror plot is the big question now, Anjali.
Gaurav, thank you so much for all those details and context. So, Mohammed Umar Nabi, whose video India Today has exclusively accessed, a doctor by profession, a very well-educated man speaking on suicide bombing and in fact himself carrying out a suicide bomb attack in the national capital. Let's once again listen into his video.
We don't have one of the very misunderstood concept is concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. It is martyrdom operations, and it is being known in Islam. There are multiple contraindications, but there are multiple arguments that have been brought against it. Martyrdom operations. When a person presumes that he is going for sure die at a particular place at a particular time, he goes against the presumption that a particular is going to die in a particular situation. It's not, we don't have one of the very misunderstood concept is concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. It is martyrdom operations, and it is being known in Islam. There are multiple contraindications, but there are multiple arguments that have been brought against it. Martyrdom operations. When a person presumes that he is going for sure die at a particular place at a particular time, he goes against the presumption that a particular is going to die in a particular situation. It's not, we don't have one of the very misunderstood concept is concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. It is martyrdom operations, and it is being known in Islam. There are multiple contraindications, but there are multiple arguments that have been brought against it. Martyrdom operations. When a person presumes that he is going for sure die at a particular place at a particular time, he goes against the presumption that a particular is going to die in a particular situation.